Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Shadowlands video. So, classes have suffered through Battle for Azeroth, and the developers are clearly quite aware of this, and they really did stack their class panel full of digs at their past selves. They talked about the mistakes of putting core abilities into talents and doing that too much. They talked about pruning too hard and going overboard with spec identity in Legion, to the point where they now feel that class identity was lost. So, they sure do know the emotional core of the problem that players really have there. And that's really what they spent their time on. They were getting cheers out of the crowd with, I'd say, some easy wins, like mentioning the return of auras. What is a little bit less clear, though, is some of the specifics, although it does seem like, rather than revamp the classes, they're instead going to add a whole bunch of stuff back in. So, to get a better handle on this...
That's good. I mean, I would consider that a positive, like they're just adding a bunch of new shit back into the game. I mean, obviously that's not as great as, you know, having a bunch of completely new bits of content, but at least it's something. At least they're doing something. I'd love that, man. Is it loud? I'm pretty sure it's, is it too loud? I mean, I don't want to have to put on sub mode to get an answer here, guys, but I will if it gets annoying. It's a bit loud. Okay, I'll turn it down a bit. There we go.
And of our new Shadowlands progression systems, let's get into what they actually said in the deep dive panel. So, the developers plan to do a big unprune and to give us more class-wide abilities. For an example, a new mage who's leveling up won't be a frost mage or a fire mage, they'll be a mage, and that will give them access to, say, both fireball and frostbolt. And the idea is that speccing into a spec will just add a bunch more around that spec's theme, but unlike the current game, it's not going to take a bunch away from you as a core mage. Now, this may lead to a bit more hybridization of toolkits, letting the flair of multiple specs shine throughout combat. Now, they aim to do this with weapons as well when leveling, say giving a warrior a bit of shield gameplay and 2 HP.
I'm not a fan of that. As I've said before, I'm not a fan of that because now I have to have a macro for a shield. And I didn't have to worry about that before. Now I have to have a macro. Now it's a big deal. Now I've got to learn how to play things differently. And it's just like, it's one more fucking thing. Yeah, it's not casual. It's lazy. Okay? They're different things.
Gameplay, or maybe giving shamans primal strike so they can actually use their mace. So little things like that. So as you can see, that's going to tie into the leveling system quite a bit, but we're just going to have to wait and see more details. Now, on other things, they're also bringing back a number of class mechanics. The examples provided were poisons, auras, perma totems for shamans, and then warlock curses. Now, I should know that Ian mentioned alter time in the past, but they did not mention it here. So I
really hope they add that.
Return. Now,
I think alter time is one of the best like skill cap mage abilities that Blizzard has ever made. I really think that if they're going to add back any ability for mages, I think alter time should be like #1. It was a really, really cool ability. You could use it in like 5 different ways. I thought alter time was fucking incredible, so I would love to see that return.
Also bringing back some old abilities such as Eye of the Beast, Kill Shot, Ritual of Doom, Shattering Throw, and Challenging Shout. So
I don't know why they're bringing back Challenging Shout. Aggro is not an issue. Like, when do I need Challenging Shout? What am I going to use it for? Skittish weeks? You just do more damage. Let's just do more damage. Like, what do you mean? Like, I've played Mythic Plus. I've done like multiple 15s and like 14s and all kinds of dungeons over level 10. You just do more damage. It's simple.
That's, again, pretty cool, pretty good to see, but, you know, that's not all. We'll see more, and there's also some other things they're doing, such as class-wide abilities coming back, and examples of those are Raise Dead, Shiv, Death Coil, Frost Shock, Consecration, and Ursol's Vortex.
I wish we got something else back
besides some abilities out of the talent trees, such as Demonic Circle, Summon Gargoyle, Hunter's Mark, Hammer of Wrath, thankfully, Cyclone, and Anti-Magic Zone. So, as you can see here, that's only the examples that they provided. Some of them are going going to matter a bit more than others. I mean, sure, the flavor of auras is nice. It's good for the RPG part of the game, but, you know, having auras plus a BFA Paladin isn't going to save the BFA Paladin. Now, that said, having more baseline abilities, including more class-wide ones, well, that would be really good, especially because it would then free up some of the talent slots, which could then mean some more mechanics to talent into. So
that would be
overall,
nice.
that could end up being a good bit better indeed. Now, that said, I'd be remiss to mention that they did not mention the global cooldown changes of BFA. I mean, just last night, the Allied Race Death Knights had us in the office talking about, you know, a Lightforged Frost DK, and then it just ended up with us saying, yeah, I'd love to play that spec, but casting 2 offensive buffs in a row before hitting our attacks just feels rubbish, and it literally, like, kind of ruins the hero moment of that spec's overall rotation. Now,
yeah, that's true. I mean, like, as a warrior, you have to do the same thing, right? You've got, like, multiple cooldowns you have to use all at the same time. So, like, as an arms warrior, you have to use fucking Avatar. Then you have to use Sweeping Strikes. And then I think there's one other thing that you have to use that I can't think of right now. And then finally you do the attacks. It's just like the GCD change... I feel like that was like, I really didn't like what Blizzard did with the GCD change. Oh, Warbreaker. Yeah, you have to do Warbreaker too. I don't like the GCD change. I've never liked it. I can see where people say that, like, having certain defensive abilities on GCD actually makes the game play better because you can try to, like, catch people without their cooldown up, and if you can always use it, there's never a point where you have to, like, plan things out, I guess. But overall, I feel like the GCD change was a change that was made specifically to combat different issues in PvP that ended up affecting the entire game in a bad way. And I think the fact that Blizzard decided to make decisions and develop the game and everything around making PvP more, you know, more, I guess, like, slower and telegraphed. And they did that at the expense of the entire Mythic Plus population, the casual player population. It doesn't, but basically the entire population of the game, the other 90% of people, 95, 99% of people, the GCD change does not really affect. Like, it was mainly an arena change. I feel like it was really dumb that they did that for the entire game. They could have done it in a different way. GCD ruins modern combat? Yeah, it's just slow, man. It's just fucking slow. What fucking PvPer wanted this? Sea-Doo did. Sea-Doo liked the GCD change. I'll be right back. I need to take a piss.
Oh, man. What a day. Oh, what a fucking day, man. What a day. What a day, what a day. Oh, man. Shadowlands is gonna suck. It's gonna be worse than BFA. Everybody knows it. It's so obvious. I don't know what to do. Anyway. I guess I'll see you later. Take care.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Okay.
Now, this is something I was a bit softer on earlier, but really, to be honest with you, I think the GCD changes were one of the worst things Blizzard ever did for class feel. I mean, really...
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks dick. It feels bad. That's the problem, is it feels bad. Like, that's the only thing that matters. At the end of the day, why do people play Classic? Because it feels good. Do the GCD changes make the game feel better or worse? It makes it feel worse. It makes it feel bad. That means that it's a bad change for the game. It doesn't matter what the system is. It doesn't matter what the logic behind it is. It doesn't matter what the grand design is. It doesn't matter what the vision is. It matters if it makes the game feel bad. If it makes it feel bad, then it shouldn't be in the fucking game. It's just that simple.
Basically, hitting a buff and smashing your big damage spell feels good, but the GCD changes kind of slow that down. They ruin that moment a bit. They make the specs feel slower. It kind of homogenizes the pace of combat and makes the rotations feel more boring. Blizzard did not mention this during their class panel, so I'm a little bit worried about that, and I would implore them to revert those changes in Shadowlands and bring us back to where we were. So, yeah, sadly, no GCD updates, but seemingly, I will say, a better direction with classes overall.
Yes,
now,
I'll
the thing
agree
is,
with that.
we're obviously clearly very early in this
agree with
development. The BlizzCon build, as an example, didn't have the class changes. It was very, very early indeed. It really did seem that way to people on the floor, just in terms of it basically feeling like level 50, but mostly BFA in a new zone, and just in terms of the class feel. So it's obvious they're still working out a lot of things, and they don't want to publicly commit to really much there. I mean, hell, take itemization. They essentially said nothing on that topic. So I think this is just because they want to wait and see, for itemization, how corrupted gear pans out, but more broadly, they just, I think, wanted to have those discussions a bit more before they commit to things. Seemingly, while we did get our Shadowlands reveal, we are just a little bit earlier on in development in this instance.
That's the way it feels like to me,
I do see how you could see that to be a bad thing, but I suppose also it does give us more time for feedback. So, okay.
BFA, whenever it got released, that was up and running really quick because there's nothing for them to fucking do. Like, there's just a bunch of bullshit systems. They had the players beta test, so it's like, yeah, we're gonna have the beta really soon because, hey, beta is actually gonna last for a year after the game's out. And then by the time BFA is fixed and the systems are functional, we're going to get rid of them and replace them with a bunch of new systems and a new expansion that also suck. And then we have to repeat the process every fucking expansion. Why can't the expansion just be good at the start?
That's the base class changes from 1 through 50. 50 through 60 class development, though, that happens through the new Covenant system. And yes, that does mean that, like with Legion, and I suppose BFA as well, the higher-end class additions do come from an external system, so they're kind of borrowed for the expansion. Now, this does open up the problem of kind of what leaving those systems like behind feels like, but that is a problem that's 3+ years off. So let's just talk about the Covenant. So you can join a Covenant. Now, this will get you 2 active abilities, one for your class and then a utility one that every Covenant member is going to get. Now, the utility options are basically just, they're all a thematic
you get
version
to turn
of
into a
moving
butterfly
around faster while avoiding mobs, and they all seem pretty fun to use.
Great.
Now, the class ones range greatly in their importance, seemingly. Blizzard showed us every mage Covenant ability, so let's just go through those. Kiri mages are going to get Radiant Spark, which causes their next 4 spells to do an extra 25%, 50%, 75%, and then 100% damage as arcane. So it's a pure single target one that, I mean, it'll make some insane Shattered Glacial spikes.
It's the best one.
This is clearly an important cooldown that will
one.
define a lot of gameplay, and you will play around, so it seems quite fun. Then Contagion Bolt comes from Mardraxxus, and for the next 8 seconds, it will cause your single target spells to do some splash damage. Then Shifting Power comes from Arden Wield, and it's an AoE that increases haste for 15 seconds. And then Mirrors of Torment comes from Revendreth.
That's the Horde,
it's going to
not the Horde one.
To
PvP
take
one.
damage
I guess same
and
thing.
also get rooted for 3 seconds. So that's what you're dealing with there. And they all do seem quite good, I suppose, but like they'll kind of shine in different ways in different scenarios. So it's clear to me that there will be a right answer there for any given fight, but you've got to note that you can't really swap Covenants easily. Blizzard will let you do it for a cost, but they do intend to basically have you pick one and stick with it. Now,
I think if Blizzard, if like they do what Ian was saying, was basically giving you a bunch of different abilities with your Covenant, and it makes it harder for the player to just be able to discern and say like, okay, well, this is the best Covenant because it gives me this ability. But if you have 5 different abilities, balancing all 5 of those together might be more difficult for players to do. But I still do think that there is going to be, even in like Burning Crusade, like with the Aldor and the Scryers, almost, if I remember right, Aldor was basically the PvE faction and Scryers was the PvP faction. That's what I remember seeing a lot of people doing back in Burning Crusade. So people will always find out what the best one is and just do that.
Their explanation for the balance here is that comparing a single ability and working out what is best, that's easy, but across the wide range of Covenant power gains, it'll be a lot harder to have a right answer, and people will just sort of stick with their Covenant. Now, when saying that, they were also referring to Soulbinds, which are our primary progression system through the Shadowlands expansion. So each Covenant basically has characters, and you can Soulbind with these characters. Now, there's an upgrade tree that you'll work through with the Soulbind, and that's going to have a mix of talents that you unlock, and then conduits that you socket in. And yeah, they're basically mini talent trees, which I really do think is kind of cool. Now, those trees have slots for the conduits.
I think this is cool. This is basically like the new version of the artifact weapon. I think this is fine. I mean, like, yeah, sure. This is nice. Nothing insane, but I'll be curious to see, like, how these systems are supposed to work and, like, if they're class specific or what.
And Blizzard have confirmed through a later interview that the conduits are patch 7.3 relic-like consumables. So talent tree, big yes.
Okay.
Consumable conduits, that's a massive no from me.
Yeah.
It punishes experimentation. Guys, like, you made Major Glyph version 2 with essences, and I think, you know, bar the alt thing,
essences
it's a good system, right?
Yeah.
You get a bunch of things to work towards, and you get a cool library of abilities to customize with, but...
The only problem with essences is this. There's no reason to get rank 4. That's the problem. There's no reason to get rank 4 besides just a cosmetic. If rank 4 gave you rank 3 on all of your alts, and they made it account wide like that, then people would go after rank 4s. That's what they should do. They should make it to where if you get a rank 4 essence, it applies it to your entire account for rank 3. That's what I would like to see them do.
But with these being consumable, I mean, it just punishes customization. So, like, guys, what are you doing here? I mean, are you trying to get me to put my time into another game that's going to respect it more? Sometimes the WoW team just seem to have a kink for arbitrary player punishment, and those consumable conduits seem like an example of that. Now, an example of a conduit was Enshrouding Mists, which would cause you to take 30% reduced damage when you fall below 35% HP, so seems pretty strong, and overall, the talent tree seemed to have room for 4 such effects. Now,
I don't like that ability, by the way. I just want to, like, make a quick little comment there. That's like the same kind of garbage that makes PvP suck. Because if you have these, I don't know if you can use these in PvP or not, but if you can, that's just like one more fucking thing. You have to proc that on them, and then you have to wait up for that afterwards. Yeah, please, can we stop with these abilities that automatically proc a damage reduction or an absorb or some sort of a heal or some mitigating circumstance whenever you receive low health or a CC? Like, please, it is so fucking boring for PvP.
Now, you'll be able to progress through your Soulbinds and then easily swap between Soulbinds, which I think is a good thing. And you can swap between them just like you swap between talents. So, overall, I'd say this. I think there's potential in that system, but I'd worry that it's overly complex, and I'd wonder if they would just not be better sort of focusing on, you know, designing the core of the class's 50 through 60 progression rather than coupling it with the Covenant system that much. Really, my worry here is that, you know, there'll be a right option, or there'll maybe just be a playstyle that you'll love, and that might, like, it might not mesh with a Covenant you like aesthetically, but so many of the Covenant rewards are actually aesthetics. So I think that's going to be challenging. I think they're undoubtedly going to be
going with the one with
the
bone wings. I don't know what that one is, but that's what I'm going with.
Now, it is also worth noting here how little time they put into explaining the Covenant system thoroughly. And
I wonder if you get, like, Exalted or whatever, like, max out with one Covenant, and then you buy all the aesthetics, like all the cosmetics from that Covenant, and then you swap Covenants again, can you use the aesthetics from both of the Covenants? Because if that's the case, I'm going to do all 4 of them, man. And that way I can get all my stuff.
Going into detail. So it seems like, again, it's in very early development. Now, personally, I'd worry here that they're making a system that's a bit more messy than it needs to be, a bit more all-encompassing than it needs to be. Ian did say that over time they don't want to add new systems on top of this, like, say, the essences on top of the heart in BFA. They'd rather just add, say, new Soulbinds in a new patch and offer players more horizontal progression, which I think, that pretty much would be a good thing. So with that, let's just run through the Kyrian abilities for the other classes, just to give you an idea. So rogues get Echoing Reprimand, and this gives you anima charged combo points that expire after 12 seconds, but are used for your finishers. Then hunters get a trap that gives them sight in an area,
that's really
and
good.
Also removes LOS restrictions. And demon hunters get an AoE that shatters fragments. DKs get Shackle the Unworthy, which reduces damage taken from a target by 5%, and then also does some damage with a cooldown reduction when the target is hit by rune abilities. Then monks get a cooldown refresh and a mastery buff on a 2-minute cooldown. Then paladins get a 30-yard AoE Holy Shock Avenger's Shield / Judgment, depending on their spec. Shamans get a Mastery Totem. Warlocks get a dot that gives them 5 targets if the or 5 shards the target dies. And then finally, warriors get Spear Bastion, which tethers the enemy to the spear. Now, as you can see through that rundown,
I'm excited for that ability. That's going to be awesome.
Nice. They're quite impactful. Some of them I think are more interesting than others, though. And there is a bit of a concern here about the balance. And I mean, Ian said that balance wouldn't be a problem in the face of the all-encompassing nature of your Covenant choices.
Yeah,
and how,
we'll see about that.
Soulbinds as well, but I'll admit I'm a bit skeptical of what Ian said there. Blizzard's response concerning the sort of pigeonholing, it didn't really allay my fears, so I'm a little bit worried that it's not going to play out in the way that they think it will, that they're maybe not correct in their assessment. I mean, even if hunters have Soulbinds that kind of make up in terms of power for the boring Kyrian ability, it just looks like a kind of dull playstyle. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of thinking here that Blizzard need to do about this system to actually get it to work. Now that said, I do want to bring a positive thing in. The legendaries could be a bright spot here. So you craft your own legendary using runes that you find in Torghast. And this means that the RNG of the Legion legendaries will not be present. So we're probably going to end up having...
And you have to do this too. And like, that's one thing that you have to keep in mind. So Torghast is like a main feature of the new expansion. And making Torghast like a main feature of the new expansion and expecting players to use all of the features that it has, I think that's kind of like, that does kind of make sense. The runes will be random though? Well, I'm not really sure if they'll be random or not. I have no idea. Simvex, thank you much asking something that you would do. Well, wait, why'd you get timed out for? Let me look and see. You donate $100. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Shave head when? Well, because people kept asking that over and over and over, probably. Yeah, that's about it. I'll unban you. Just don't, like, it was kind of annoying because people just kept spamming it, you know. And the thing is, like, my mods, like, generally I have a rule that if the viewers start spamming or telling people to do anything, mods are just like, they time out everybody that starts asking for like any one thing, you know, because it just makes it annoying. And so yeah, I don't like the ban people for asking something about your promise. Well, no, because it's not about that. Like, I'm just gonna ban you. Like, you're dumb. Okay, let's see. That's not what I said at all. The point is, like, people spamming it and doing that all the time, it gets annoying. Like, anything that, like, chat does their best to, like, to try to be annoying. And I don't like things that are annoying. So if I see people do something to be annoying, I time them out. That's it.
Pretty enjoyable gameplay system there where, yeah, you're customizing your legendary, you're selecting what like new things you want for your class. I think that's really cool. So with all that covered, what's my overall opinion? Well, I'll say this. I love the Covenants in all things, bar how they impact classes. I am a little tired of the external class systems and the potential pitfalls of Shadowlands' iteration of that. I mean, they're pretty darn evident. Now that said, making your custom cloak, your mount customization, the campaign, the characters, the aesthetics, the armor sets, I think that stuff's all fantastic RPG material that I love. I just think it's a shame that so much of the class gameplay is tied to it. And I've got to admit, sometimes I think that Blizzard's gameplay first value is applied a little bit bluntly, and maybe this is one of those times where they should just decouple those and kind of let that player expression aesthetic stuff be what it is. But anyway, as for the rest of the class stuff, well, I think we just do need more details. That's really the core of this BlizzCon. I think Shadowlands is clearly earlier in development than Legion or BFA were at their BlizzCons. And I mean, that's just at least based on this BlizzCon showing. Now, a part of that is actually good. It does mean that feedback on these ideas can be provided before they're a lot more locked in. I think my experience of covering the BFA BlizzCon through beta, I mean, that certainly is going to mean that I'm going to be a bit more stern with my feedback. I'm going to be a bit more focused on potential.
I'm going to be a lot more critical this time around. Like, I'm going to be way more fucking critical. Because this time around, I'm not going to go ahead and do any sort of fucking, oh, well, we'll see if it gets better later on. No. From now on, like, whenever we play the beta, and if something sucks, we are going to go so hard on that thing that sucks until we get some sort of response or something happens. We are going to go very, very hard on it. Because I think the issue with BFA, and I don't know about you guys, but I was so demoralized kind of after Legion because I felt like they did so many things in Legion that just sucked. I didn't even really care about what happened in BFA a whole lot. I just kind of was like, you know what, like, whatever. They're just going to do what they're going to do. Like, it is what it is, right? I didn't give a shit as much. And now, like, I feel like the expansion was worse because of it, because people were just so demotivated.
Pitfalls, because ultimately I love this game. When I look at the world of the Shadowlands, these 4 or 5 new zones, when I look at Torghast, I see their content that I really think looks like it could be incredible, right? It looks beautiful. I'm really happy to be away from Azeroth for a bit. I actually like the core of what they're doing, 1 through 50 with the classes, at least
I think that's
principle.
good too.
But, you know, I don't want those things to be sabotaged by systems that kind of, you know, torpedo an aspect of the game. And that's why, yeah, I am going to be a little bit more stern in the feedback, but just know that it's all in the service of me wanting Shadowlands to be as good as it possibly can be.
Well, we want the game to be good.
So
that's the whole point.
The art, the content, the
story,
the whole
fucking point.
Can shine. So, there you go. That's my thoughts on all of this stuff. Be sure to let me know what you think down below. And with that, I will see you next time.
No, it's like, it wasn't because of Classic. Like, I remember whenever they told me what the name of the new expansion was going to be. They're like, BFA? And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, this is a dumb name, but they can always change it later on. And I don't know why, but I like Rashomon, like, oh, you know what? They can just change the name if it's not good. I didn't like BFA. I didn't like the Battle for Azeroth name. I thought it was dumb. And so, yeah, that's the way that I've looked at it, man. And let me see the rest of these, okay? All right, I'll read one more donation, and then we'll look at this other one. Then, in probably just a little bit here, we are going to get ready and do MC. Turned 27 yesterday. Happy late birthday, Major Crispy. Hoping Pink Sparkles, moving Pink Sparkles in went good. I hope all goes well with her moving in as well. You deserve to be happy with her, in my opinion. I intend to start streaming soon, and I'd like to befriend you if somehow possible. Hit me up sometime. Thank you very much, Major Crispy. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm pretty glad that everything has pretty much turned out well, except for the AC breaking day that she comes in here. But overall, like, it did go pretty well. Like, for you guys, this is kind of like the, I guess, semi-big announcement that I was gonna make, right? Is that I did have Izzy move in yesterday, and she's, I think, still asleep downstairs. But yeah, she moved in with me yesterday, and so yeah, I'm excited, kind of nervous too, but everything's turned out to be fine. I was kind of worried, right, having like another person move in with me because I'm used to being alone all the time. But so far, everything has been okay, and I've been dealing with it just fine. So yeah, it's good.